Hello and welcome. I am Kelly Hearn, and today we are talking about the critical nature of communicating your wins and what you are giving up when you refuse to communicate those wins. So, again, I am Kelly Hearn. You are on the channel for Transitional Leadership, where we help individuals and businesses implement leadership and career development to foster a greater impact. And today we are talking about communicating that very impact. It is so important that you share all of the wins that you are having, not just the big ones, not just the I landed a huge client, not just, I saved this much money on expenses. Those are great. You should communicate those. But even before you get to those, you should be communicating all of your wins, all of them, even the small ones, even the ones where it feels like, that's my job. Of course I did it. That's what they pay me to do. That's still a success. It's still a win. And communicating that you won on those things is going to help you build that muscle so that you're able to better communicate on the bigger things. Because think about it. If you haven't built that skill, if you haven't built up that muscle, if you haven't been doing 5, 10 push-ups a day, how are you going to just bust out 100? How are you going to share what you did to add to that overall large success when you weren't building on it in the beginning, right? If you weren't building on that muscle before you got there. Not to mention the fact that you may not even be asked to participate in that bigger situation, in that bigger problem solving need, if you weren't showcasing that you have been successful on the smaller things. You won't be trusted with much if you can't be trusted with little. So it is absolutely essential that you are communicating those wins at all levels, right? Small, minute things. I sent out every email I was supposed to send. I attended every meeting I was supposed to attend, and on the really big things. Now, I want to break that down a little bit more, and I go really in depth into one specific example that is just key to this in the blog. So definitely look at the show notes and click that link so that you can head over to the blog to learn all about Sarah and how she was eroding all of the confidence and trust and opportunities in her organization by not communicating her wins, and what we did through coaching to kind of right that ship and put her on the right path. So I hinted at it there, but I want to focus a little bit on what you lose when you aren't communicating those wins, even the small ones, because it can feel like that day to day is looking for a gold star, right? We don't want to be the person that our boss looks at and says, cool, did you want a cookie for doing what you were supposed to be doing? And yet I just said that it's important that you're sharing that information. So I want to talk a little bit about what you're giving up by skipping it and how you can turn that around so that you're realizing all of the benefits of communicating without getting that kind of smarmy feel of you're looking for a cookie or a gold star every time you open your mouth. So let's start off with trust, right? So like I said before, you can't be trusted with much if you can't be trusted with a little. And so from the day you start working with a specific boss or at a certain company, you are kind of filling up that bucket, right? You are either adding tokens to it and filling up everything that shows that you are a person who can be trusted. I made all of my calls, I sent all of the emails, I attended all of the meetings, I added value in these small ways. Or you are continuously taking from that bucket and showing that you can't be trusted on even the most basic of things. And so the way that you build trust in those situations is by linking the input, the what that you did, to the result that it created. So if you're in sales, maybe that is sending out cold emails. There's a quota on the amount of cold emails that you need to send. And so I'll say the worst, we'll kind of scale up here. The worst option is to just leave it off, just not speak to the fact that you did anything at all. That would be the worst option. You have to communicate the success. One step up from there, better than the worst, but still not great, um, is letting your boss, letting your team know that you sent out emails. Great. Cool. You did the thing. That is where you start to sound like you're looking for a gold star because you're supposed to send out the emails. So you have to help them understand that you know why you did that and that you're working towards success. So maybe you met the expectation on cold emails in an amount of time that allows you to either get a jump start on the next day or help out another team member, or you are progressively getting better and you aspire to get to that point at some day. But right now you are meeting the expectation and you understand why you're doing it and where you're going with this, right? So something super basic as just sending out emails is a way of building this rapport with your boss and building this trust that you can be trusted to do more, because even though all you did was meet the goal, you understand where you're going with that. It's also going to develop confidence for you. So when you don't communicate those things at all, it erodes your confidence. It allows some of those mind gremlins to creep in and tell you that you're not doing enough, that you're not hitting the mark, you're not impressing anybody. But when you are either verbally or in writing sharing with other people that you are hitting the mark, it's a reminder to you that you're doing the thing. You are building the competency to move into confidence, or maybe you already have that competency and you are, building confidence all along the way because you're meeting the goal, you're exceeding the goal, you're helping others meet the goal, or maybe you're sharing your expertise on how you can meet the goal as fast as you do. So that is going to build trust from others and build confidence in you. Next, if you aren't communicating your own success, if you're not able to communicate your wins, you are giving up on opportunities. You are just, by not communicating, you are communicating that you don't care and you don't understand and you don't want to be involved at a bigger level, right? So what that can look like is not linking what you're doing every day to the bigger picture. Means that you don't understand the bigger picture. You don't know why you're doing all of those tasks. You don't know why you're sending emails, making calls, going to meetings, clearing the queue, answering customer questions. You don't understand all of that, and you don't understand the urgency. I had a reel yesterday, so I'll link to that as well so that you can see it. It was an example of a person sort of just giving up and using all of these really gross negative words like I'm planning to, I'm waiting to, I'm working on. Those are all things that are going to work against you because it showcases that you don't actually know what that next step is because you're acting so passive. So you're not going to get those opportunities. Steph in that video is not going to get the opportunity to work on something bigger because leadership isn't going to trust, like we just talked about, they're not going to trust her to handle this situation. And spoiler alert, they didn't, and they asked to be involved in the meetings to make sure that everything goes well because that's what happens when you aren't inspiring trust. People feel the need to micromanage you because you're not giving them any evidence to the contrary. You're not giving them any evidence that you can handle it. And so they're not going to build on those bigger opportunities for you. Right. So you've probably seen this in the past. Maybe if you have kids, you have been on the, doling out of this trust and opportunities. And maybe if you don't have kids, you've been on the kids' side of this. But let's take the example of I want a dog, right? I'm 10-year-old Timmy and I want a dog. And I can tell my parents the reasons I should have a dog. And I can list everything out. I'm going to walk him. I'm going to feed him. I will have a plan to get him walked and fed even when I have baseball practice and all of these things. But if you can't demonstrate that you could feed the goldfish, if you can't showcase to your parents that you can make your bed or brush your teeth without being reminded, what are the odds they're going to give you an opportunity on something bigger? I know that sounds like a basic example, but that's the same mentality with everything that you're doing at work. So you have to showcase that you're able to handle even the small things so that you get the opportunity on the big things. And then when you get the opportunity on that big stuff, holy moly, make sure that you are sharing what you did, what you specifically contributed to that project, what you helped facilitate or implement or execute, right? It's great to share the credit where it's due, but definitely make sure that some of that credit is shared with you. And this is something that I help clients with all the time because it's just a very simple twist of the phrasing that can make or break your ability to communicate those wins. So if that is something that you would love to better understand, or this is a concept that you can understand in theory, you can wrap your head around everything that I'm saying, but the implementation of it is just escaping you. I get it. It's going to take practice, but I can absolutely be with you every step of the way. So I will put the link to just set up some time with me so that we can have a conversation about what you're doing now and how things can shift when you're able to take the credit for those wins and communicate all of your success. All right. As always, if you have learned anything from this video, please, please, please share it with someone who needs this information and give it a like or a subscribe if you don't want to miss a single episode. All right. Have a wonderful day, friends.